You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasía fútbol novelas. Espera con el patrón. Smitty is live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Get one-on-one text advice with Smitty at heysmitty.com.
You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasía fútbol novelas. Espera con el patrón.
Get one-on-one text advice with Smitty at heysmitty.com.
You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasía fútbol novelas. Espera con el patrón. Smitty is live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasía fútbol novelas. Espera con el patrón. You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasy.
Live from Smitty1.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Take a lap.
What is going on, good people? We are here talking fantasy football 2022. We're going straight to the voice messages. Let's go.
It's voicemail time. Drop a voicemail at the Fantasy Football Show on the gram. Tell your grandma.
He'll punch you in the throat.
Hey Smitty, it's Trey. How's it going? Per Bleacher Report, execs are saying that the Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray is seeking a little north of what Derek Carr got, about 121 mil. What's your thoughts on that? Thanks, pal.
Kyler Murray. Question at hand is Kyler Murray. Let me get rid of this right here. Kyler Murray, and there's talk and rumors going around NFL news wires and circles that Kyler Murray probably isn't going to feel comfortable playing without a new contract. Now, we went through this song and dance earlier in the offseason. Kyler Murray was instructed to keep his head down and to just roll with the punches, play 2022. Maybe Kyler, you get an extension in 2023 in the offseason going into 2023. There's an echo. Why is this always the case? Every time. There we go. Echo gone. Going into 2023, you could get your extension, Kyler. You know, it was pretty simple. The process was simple. Keep your head down. Keep your head down and roll, bro. And roll. And no, what does Kyler Murray do? Again, now there's rumors about them. Now, this could be just news getting generated, people making stuff up. But my guess is Kyler is trying to stir the pot a little bit. He thought maybe if I come in for a couple weeks and don't say anything, maybe they'll give me my extension. They gave him his 5th-year option. They extended him through his 5th year. That means he's under contract for 2 more years. Sometimes quarterbacks get extended 2 years left, sometimes not. Most times other players get extended with 1 year left. Kyler hasn't proven it. And I know everybody's going to say we need to have Kyler. We need to lock up Kyler. I'm a Cardinal fan. I'm in Arizona. But I'm telling you right now, as a Cardinal fan, Kyler Murray does not need to be locked up. Kyler Murray is still needing to prove that he deserves the bag he's about to get. And so for me, I'm saying we're staying clear of Kyler Murray extensions this offseason in Arizona. And if he wants to sit it out, the Cardinals are not the kind of team that's going to let him push him around. I think the Cardinals have made it clear. This is why Kyler Murray wrote a letter saying, I want to get paid. It was like a ransom letter to the Cardinals organization because contract talks didn't just halt. They were ended. The Cardinals are not offering him an extension. That could change. The Cardinals could look at all the, all the different signings and news and change their mind and say, look, you know what? Let's reassess this. Our accountants have come in here. They have Michael K. CPA, probably, a guy like that. Like, we've got Michael K. CPA here on the channel, the top super chatter in one given live stream with $199. Somebody knock him off, I dare you. But they probably have their version of Michael K. CPA. And Michael K. CPA on the Cardinals, their version in Bizarro World, their version of Michael K. CPA probably comes in and says, guys, we're going to be paying through the roof on this Kyler Murray kid if we don't sign him to an extension now. That could happen. I'm not saying that can't happen. That could happen. However, I believe Kyler Murray, with 2 years left on his contract, with still the ability to franchise tag him and still the ability to franchise tag him again, I don't care if he's happy when he's not performing and making the Cardinals happy. If he's performing, showing leadership, goes back onto the field during the final play of the game, which he did not do, mind you, in 2021, the final play of this season for the Cardinals, this man doesn't step out onto the field and take a snap with his teammates. This guy's constantly talked about as being, by himself, not leading, not motivating. He can't just do it for a month straight like he did. I like that he's put his head down. He's come to work. He got his boy Hollywood Brown. Like, they did some things to make him happy, right? I like that he's kept his head down. I've been remotivated to back Kyler, support Kyler. I'm going to give Kyler the benefit of the doubt. I've said that every time I rip on Kyler, I always find a clip where I don't. I always say, if Kyler turns it around, I will support him. Kyler can be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. But he's also creating this black cloud over the organization right now and himself and the situation and potentially making things very bad for him. And he could unravel. He could have a horrible year. A lot of pressure. Dark cloud over his head. Self-made problems and craziness that he is self-making right now. And I think that he's kept his head down. I felt very good. They got Hollywood Brown. Maybe the Cardinals will be okay. Then the schedule comes out. The Cardinals have the worst schedule in the NFL. And now he's potentially talking like this. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that if Kyler Murray goes down this road and the Cardinals don't want to go down the road with them, meaning the Cardinals don't want to give him an extension, then guess what? Kyler Murray's going to go into a dark place and it's going to get bad for him. So we'll see what happens. I don't think the Cardinals want to give him the extension. That could change. Kyler or Lamar in Dynasty, Michael? That is a good question. By the way, appreciate everybody in here. Spacula first in the building. Gary, James, Nate, Dylan, Wesley, Philip, Jeremy, Hod Prime, Nevin, Jaden. Appreciate you all. This one's close. I say even. They're both running quarterbacks. They both have the potential to get hurt more than the average quarterback. And I don't want to hear that that's not true. Lamar Jackson was on pace. He got hurt. But if you extrapolate his rushing attempts per start, multiply it, extrapolate it out over a course of a 17-game season, this dude would have ran the ball 180-something times. 180 times. You are upping your risk of injury by an extreme degree. I don't want to hear that running quarterbacks aren't as likely, they aren't more likely to get hurt. That's garbage talk. So Kyler and Lamar, honestly, I don't want either one of them because I don't know how long their shelf life is, Michael. I just don't know. The Bruce?
All right, Smitty, here's your question. We all talk about DK, but we're disrespecting Tyler Lockett. What do you think of Tyler Lockett this year in Seattle? Is he a receiver 3, a low-end receiver 2, or is he just not drafted?
We're having some AC problems. It is freaking hot in here. My head's sweating. DK versus Lockett. I'm going to say, bro, the reason we disrespect Lockett is DK's a baller, bro. DK is potentially a top 5 to 10 wide receiver. Lockett is disrespected, but Lockett is a wide receiver that needs a quarterback like Russell Wilson, bro. So I'm not into this whole Lockett's going to be the same version of himself without Russell Wilson. I don't know how a lock or any wide receiver is going to be able to produce old Lockett numbers. I'm sorry, any quarterback. In that Seattle quarterback room, I don't see how any Seattle quarterback is going to help produce old Lockett numbers. Lockett was lockstep, no pun intended, lockstep with Russell Wilson. That's not going to be the case in this situation anymore. So Lockett, he gets disrespected. I get it. But we can't rank Lockett any higher than we have him. We just can't. We can't pull him back into low-end wide receiver 1 or super high-end wide receiver 2 value without a quarterback. If he gets traded, like let's say he got traded to Denver or to Green Bay, then it'd be a big-time situation. But DK Metcalf, it is so hot in here. Woo! And I've got all this machinery on. I got to shut everything down. We're working on the AC unit. And it just in this studio with all this equipment, while the AC is going on and off as things are getting tweaked on it. It can get pretty toasty in here. DK Metcalf, top 10 to 14 wide receiver in 2022. Lockett, a wide receiver 3 with upside. A wide receiver 3 with upside. That's what I'm going to tell you, the Bruce.
Hey, Smitty, Stormcat here.
Storm.
I'd like to hear your analysis on why you don't seem to be as high on Travis Etienne as you do on Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. You know, Etienne was a first-round pick. He's got almost no...
Hold on a second here, Stormcat. Don't be throwing me in a bucket of people that don't believe in Etienne. You're painting this picture like I'm not an Etienne supporter or advocate. Like I've been pushing him out there like crazy. I haven't talked about Etienne all the time. What are you talking about, Stormcat? I'm not sending you on a lap. But I talked this man Etienne up a ton. He's one of my favorite mid-5th to top of the 6th round picks. The reason we don't... Here, let's keep finishing. I did pre-screen this one because I wanted to know what the first 3 questions were because I put them on the graphics. So I kind of heard this, but I stopped it.
There this year with James Robinson basically being gone from the Achilles. And I really do think that offense is going to be much better this year with Urban Meyer gone. So, in my mind, Etienne is on par with those other 2, and I'm wondering why he doesn't seem to be in your perspective. Thanks.
It's not that he's on par with the rookies like Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall, but you could say that Kenneth Walker and Etienne are very close in terms of ADP value, right? So I'm okay with you taking Etienne over Kenneth Walker if that's how you feel. But Breece Hall's a potential 2nd round climber. This guy could climb into like mid-2nd to bottom of the 2nd with ease. He could climb into 14, 15 overall territory, Breece Hall, with really good preseason play or some hype footage or a coach coming out and saying, we're going to run Breece Hall all game long. Like if that happens, then Breece Hall to the moon. Breece Hall is going to 14 overall, 15. Look, we talked about Najee Harris being worth 10 to 14 overall value in 2021, and people came at our necks. They called us crazy. They said we're reaching on Najee Harris, but guess what? Najee Harris was a first-round player production-wise last year, and who was laughing? Not us. We were laughing. Who was laughing at us? Nobody, because Najee earned it. I'm not saying, like, this is what's so funny, is I get people that come at me and say, Smitty, I'm doing my running back rankings on Instagram. And number one, I have JT. Number 2, I put Javonte Williams. But I spent about 45 seconds in the 1-minute video clip going, make sure you don't draft this guy at number 2. This is my prediction. I believe Javonte will finish as the number 2 running back, but Melvin Gordon is a gift. Melvin Gordon makes him a second-round pick. Now we can all freaking draft Javonte Williams at 15 to 18 with a big grin on our face because I'm ranking him too. I spent like 40 seconds out of the 60-minute clip explaining that Javonte's my number 2. JT's my number 1. Javonte's my number 2. And what topic? What was the initial question here? It was Etienne. Sorry, I got to put this on the screen. ENT. No, it's Etienne, Smitty. Let's just spell it out. Let's not get lazy, okay? Etienne's the topic. So I spent 40 seconds talking about it. And what do my comments read? Hey, Smitty, I get it. You like Javonte, but don't you think it's unwise to draft him at number 2 when his ADP's falling? Like, I feel like I waste half of my life explaining things when no one reads, no one listens, no one watches the entire footage. You know, it's just constant tweaking and poking and prodding and knee-jerk reactions without taking in all the information. I'm telling you, don't draft Javonte number 2 because you don't have to. For goodness sake, you can get him in the middle of freaking round 2 now. But he's still my number 2, and I think you win leagues because of it. Point is, Breece Hall could climb, and it'll be warranted. Walker could climb into the top of the 3rd round if he goes nuts in the early, part of June and July. I mean, hype could climb Walker into like 24 to 28 overall. Etienne's nestled real snug in his ADP bed that figures to be around 5.1 to 6.5. It's a very wide range. Like Michael KCPA just calculated. He just got the TPS report back, calculated it, compiled the data, created a standard deviation from the mean at a 4.56 frequency, multiplied by the flux capacitor, and then divided by a power of 79,000 square root 7. And Michael KCPA came up with this conclusion. Etienne is going around the 4-5 turn. That's exactly what I said, so we're on the same page. 4-5 turn is where you're getting Etienne. That's why you don't hear, who is it, Stormcat? That's why you don't hear me talk about Etienne like I talk about Breece Hall. I talk about Etienne the way I talk about Etienne. The Etienne will be a steal. The Etienne is your win-a-league running back in the 4-5 range, preferably 5. 5.5, we've got him in mock drafts at about 5.3 to 5.6 on the regular. So I'm guessing you won't have a problem getting Etienne as your 5th drafted player across the board. Michael KCPA might be able to compute something to confirm that real quickly. But Etienne, I love him, Stormcat. I feel like that was a little bit of an unfair description of your boy Smitty right here.
Hey, Smitty, Stormcat here. I'd like to hear your analysis on why you don't seem to be as high on Travis Etienne.
I appreciate you, Stormcat. I'm not mad at you. I was just defending myself. The Bruce again.
Hey, Smitty, here's another one that
I love you, Stormcat.
Smitty rant. Why is Trey Lance getting all this negativity? I mean, I Twitter Trey Lance or whatever, and all I see is negativity, and it fuels me to run my 3 miles a day, and it fuels me to sit there and look at all these people and say, you guys are this.
Oh, the Bruce, man.
The Bruce is loose.
The Bruce is loose on that one. Trey Lance. I mean, I could beat a dead horse on this. I don't think you guys want to hear the whole spiel. But I would say... Trey Lance is on his way to becoming a top 5 to 7 quarterback. And I think that people that really truly believe that Trey Lance can't be a top 5 to 7 quarterback in fantasy football, like we're a fantasy football show. We do talk about news. We are a fantasy football show. I think they're hand in hand. I think that if Trey Lance drops a top 5 to 7 quarterback season, Trey Lance is going to play like a top 5 to 7 NFL quarterback. So I'm not feeling like this is going to be one of those, he's a great, like kind of like Hurts was last year. Great fantasy guy, but horrible quarterback in everyone's mind. I defend Hurts. I think Hurts is going to be absolutely on a different level. And the people that doubted Hurts and called him a trash can after one season of trying to learn the NFL game in an environment where it was kind of toxic and they didn't want him there. They're constantly talking about replacing him. I don't know what people's deal is with Jalen Hurts, but it seems to be the same problem people have with Trey Lance. It's like he's a running quarterback. I think people oftentimes take a running quarterback and they assume that Trey Lance, because he's a running quarterback, can't throw. Trey Lance came from a small school. Hurts can't throw because he runs a lot. I think there's a real correlation to running quarterback in the hatred that people have. Like Trey Lance has a cannon. Trey Lance has an offense. He has weaponry that very few, if any, quarterbacks in the NFL have. Trey Lance has Kittle, Mitchell, Davis Price. That running game is going to be off the hook, especially with Trey Lance navigating wherever he wants. You have Trey Lance running around, the threat of him running around, people wanting to shadow this man. What do you think is going to happen to the rushing attack? It's going to average more yards per carry. It's going to have just slightly more room. The A gap will be a little bit more open. The B gap will be a little bit more open. The rushing lanes in midfield will be less congested. There'll be less box counts, higher box counts. Now that you have Trey Lance taking attention away from defensive, game planning. Like it's gonna be absolutely madness. Like I don't really know what problem people really have with Trey Lance, because you can't judge him too harshly off. I don't care what Steve Young and Joe Montana say. I don't care, which is funny, Hot Prime, that people put so much weight on what Joe Montana has said. These are the same people, just because Joe Montana was one of the best quarterbacks ever, people think that he knows what he's talking about in terms of scouting. Like, and I have a lot of people say, "You think you know more than Joe Montana?" Yeah. Like, as arrogant as that sounds, like, what do you think I do for a living? This is what I do for a living. 20 years of scouting. And I don't care if Joe Montana played football and was one of the best quarterbacks ever. Michael Jordan was one of the best players to ever play, one of the best athletes ever. The GOAT, the best basketball player to ever walk the earth. He thought Kwame Brown was phenomenal. He doesn't know how to scout for anything. I'm a better basketball scout than Michael Jordan. Fantasy basketball was my thing. I was better at fantasy basketball than I was in analysis. I had a fantasy basketball site the first 2 or 3 years I did fantasy. About 18 years ago is when I stopped doing fantasy basketball. But I knew I could see the sleeper talent and upside. I love that Joe Montana gets so much pull from people. Like, the guy's senile in some ways, the way he talks, at least, about players like Trey Lance. Because he said, I think the Niners should just move on and find another quarterback. What person in their right mind would say that when a team hasn't even given him a chance yet? They invested their entire future on Trey Lance. They mortgaged all the draft capital, and you're literally going to say, it's like something my mom would say. Yeah, maybe you should just move on. Smitty? You think? Joe Montana. And I give Steve Young more respect than Joe Montana, but keep in mind that people twist up what some of these players are saying because they want it to fit their narrative. It's narrative season. It's lie season. It's smoke season still. Even though the draft is already over, it's smoke season. And the bottom line is Trey Lance, there's a narrative people want that he's inexperienced. They want to back up their doubt. Look, every person out there that has said Trey Lance will fail, they're constantly looking for evidence to suggest they're going to be right. And they're constantly scouring news wires and comments from people to find something. Like, what do we know? Do we know Steve Young's full context to that? I'm not saying I do either, but I probably guarantee you there's some positives that are not brought up in that quote. You know, Trey Lance isn't ready. Well, gee, that sounds like typical. You know, Trey Lance hasn't started but 2 games. Of course he's not ready. Joe Burrow wasn't ready. Herbert wasn't ready, and he came in and lit the league on fire as a rookie. Joe Burrow had a torn ACL, and Joe Burrow walked in with a suspect offensive line, a rookie wide receiver that was being talked about as not being able to catch the football at the NFL level. And Joe Burrow came in unprepared and not ready, coming back from an ACL tear. And did we doubt him? No, we didn't, because we trusted Joe Burrow. Same concept here. You can doubt Trey all you want. Trey Lance is going to prove you wrong. He's got intelligence. He's got the wheels. He's got the offensive weaponry. He's got more weapons than Joe Burrow had. And he's got no torn ACL to come back from. He's got arguably the only problems you have with that Niner offense at all, or defense, the entire team, is maybe offensive line. But you have a mobile quarterback that's going to help improve that immediately. Max should return, I imagine. Things are going to improve. I love that people are doubting Trey Lance. He's going to drop a top 5 to 7 quarterback season from an NFL perspective and fantasy. Jose says Superchargers and Shake Shack rule. Shake Shack rule. What's the Shake Shack rule? Are you talking about me eating there too much again? Superchargers. Oh, no, that's Super Chat. No, Supercharger. You wrote Super. It's a Super Chat. You wrote Superchargers and Shake Shack rule. I don't really know what that means, Jose. I appreciate your Super Chat. But can you explain it? Elaborate a little bit so I know what's going on here. We got no AC here, so Smitty's a little unsure of what's really even going on. I'm dying a heat stroke here. Smitty is going to explode. No office air. Trashing Lance. Coming back from an Achilles ACL. Achilles or ACL. Hurts can't throw. Montana and Steve Young now. Michael K. CPA and Steve Young. Yeah, so Jose, I think what Jose's saying here is that there's a Shake Shack rule that I guess I'm breaking where I eat there too much and I might get tired of it. Wouldn't surprise me, Jose. I do wear out food quite a bit. I eat at the same places kind of over and over and over. I've got like my 7 rotation. And the problem is I have one of them, and then I liked it so much the day before, I'll go back the next day, and then I'll go back the next day, and then I ruin it. I got to keep it on at least a 3-day spacer or a 2-day spacer minimum. I can't have the same thing 2 days in a row, or I could wear it out. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong. What is the Superchargers thing, though? Just you're a Charger fan, I assume. Love the Chargers. I think you did DM me on the Chargers that you're a big fan. I appreciate that. I'm a big Charger fan. Let's go Chargers. I'm a big Herbert fan, actually, is what it is. Deebo gets paid and fed by Trey Lance. Deebo probably will get his contract sooner or later. I'd say 99% that's getting done. There's this people will start kicking around rumors that maybe Deebo's gonna do some holdout. He can't. He'd lose too much money. The Bruce.
Hey, Smitty, here's another one that might cause a Smitty rant.
Oh, all right.
Why is Trey Lance
I
getting
got that one. Okay, this one.
To clarify, I only mean the people that talk negative about Trey Lance when they say Jimmy G's the starter.
You mean negative like Honest Abe? Trey Lance equals Jamarcus Russell? Oh, Honest Abe. This is going to age very badly. But that's okay. I still appreciate you. Deshaun Watson and Saquon Barkley in return. I get Javonte Williams and 2.3. What do you think of Smitty? Need your advice. QBs are Rodgers, Lance, Tua, and Zach Wilson. Well, if you've already got Lance and Aaron Rodgers, and you got Zach Wilson, I'm getting Javonte all day long. All day long. Because you don't even know Watson could be suspended. We don't really know what's up with that. The Bruce.
My last question is, with all these viable suspensions coming up, Watson, Cook, Kamara, Jerry Jeudy, what are we thinking about this? What if Cook suspended 8 games? What does that do for his ADP, and what does that do for Madison? It's the same thing with Kamara and his backup, which is, I believe, Ingram. And what does it do for all the Denver things?
What's the first part of your question?
My last question is, with all these viable suspensions coming up, Watson, Cook, Kamara.
So what are you getting Cook? Cook doesn't have a viable suspension yet. Cook is definitely got that off the field issue, but Cook is not he's not one of the people that we're expecting a suspension. I think it's possible that something kicks into gear again. You would need something new to come out on the Dalvin Cook off the field issue. He had that. For those that forget, Dalvin Cook. I do see your message, Manning. I see it right here. Appreciate you over on Twitch. I think last year we thought maybe Cook was going to get a suspension because there's that off the field issue where reportedly his ex broke into his house and took his gun, he said, and it was a whole big mess, and there was domestic stuff involved, and there was he said, she said, and then it kind of just stopped, and we didn't hear anything about it, but we thought it was going to get worse. And the thing about it is, unless we hear something new, probably nothing's going to be made of it. But if, let's say, there's some text message that is awful that comes out, or a video or a voice message or anything that comes out and then gets dropped in the media, then people are going to take it and run with it, and then Dalvin Cook will very much be in trouble. So I think for people to assume that nothing's going to happen from this, that's a little optimistic, but I think people that assume something will happen, that's a little presumptuous. So it's I don't think anything will happen, but let's say he gets suspended. Jeudy won't get suspended, I don't think. Sean, anything's possible, but that Jeudy situation was garbage. He literally locked his car door with a baby seat and paperwork, and it did have his ex's wallet. I understand where it's somebody locked your wallet in their car. You would call the police at some point. You'd be like, give me my wallet. They're like, no, I'm not going to give it to you. Okay, I'll call the police. I get that the police got called, but this was a situation that could have been handled right then and there. Hey, she's got my phone. I've got her wallet. I'm not driving off with it, but I'm just not unlocking the car. If I was a police officer on scene, I'd be like, unlock the car. Give her the wallet. Do you have his phone? I don't know why it went this route, but in Colorado, if you tamper with someone's personal property, you get arrested. And so for everything that I hear on scene, the police arrived on scene. The police were being begged by his ex to not arrest him because she didn't think it was going to go that far. She just wanted her wallet, I suppose. And then when he got arrested, she was calling the police station saying don't press charges, but the police kept going with it. This is why I kind of laugh when people say he'll settle or this player will settle. If the police get involved and there's evidence, they don't just back off because someone calls up and says, can you stop? The police just keep going with it. But I don't know that the league's going to do any. He was arrested. That's a problem. You get arrested, the NFL usually acts, even if you're innocent or whatever, unless it was a wrongful arrest or the police apologize, something like that. You get arrested, it's bad news for the NFL. They don't like it. You violate the personal conduct policy by some things that aren't even yet proven in court. The NFL could definitely take that route. But in this case, it's weak. It's weak. The Colorado law's weak. Attorneys everywhere outside of Colorado were thrown back, not understanding the law. Never seen this law before in my life. This is a Colorado-only law. I think Jeudy escapes. Do I think that Dalvin Cook faces a suspension? Probably not. But if something new arises, then he's in trouble. I'm more worried about Dalvin Cook and his torn labrum that continues to get torn. We've talked about it before, that ball and socket. You've got this piece of like it's like a seal that's in your socket, and the ball without the seal slides in and out like that. So you have this seal in there that keeps the ball tight, and when you tear the seal, you rip it, and you create this little opening where your ball can slide out of the socket because it's torn during the seal's no longer thick at that point. You can have a surgery, you can try and repair it, but we're looking at probably Dalvin Cook being very, very, very much susceptible to I don't know, re-tearing, or having, if he has multiple tears, having that ball pop out of socket mid-game. He could take any hit at any moment and that ball and socket pop right out. And it's not like it just goes right back in. Like, you do damage to it. You tear. It's kind of like, you kind of like, think of it like this. I know this is a weird example, but it's the best way to kind of explain it. And I got a lot of medical background in what I do because I've reported on this for 20 years. So I know a lot about, when I talk about knee injuries, I've had a lot of knee injuries. I know a lot about knees. I know a lot about patellar tendons. I know a lot about all this stuff. And when you take, like, when you bite your fingernails or the skin on your nails, like some people have a nasty habit. I'm sure everybody's done it at some point. But when you take it too far and you just rip it and it burns and you're like, damn it, I went too far. Like, that's kind of, in a way, I describe like meniscus tears. Like, you can have a tear in your meniscus, and just like that skin on your finger, it can keep tearing. If you don't cut it just right, it's not just because even if you got it fixed and cut off, if there's still a piece that can catch or whatever, you can still continue to tear. And in the case of the labrum, like Dalvin Cook, even if you tore and popped that socket out of joint and tore the labrum, it's torn. It's susceptible to more tearing. Even if you popped it back in, you have that damaged part that is now like an opening for it to come out. So this guy is going to absolutely be susceptible to injury moving forward. So worry about it. But I mean, Madison, super handcuff. Melvin Gordon, I suppose he's a great handcuff. It depends on where he goes.
Jerry Jeudy.
The Bruce.
I have one. So let's say I have a top-tier quarterback like a Herbert, a Burrow, a Mahomes, Josh Allen. Let's say 3 rounds later.
Check your mail.
Or 4 maybe. Let's say Brady, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance. They're all up there and they're your highest guy ranked. Would you be dumb just to say, you know what? They're my highest guy ranked. I'm going for the backup quarterback just because they're the highest guy on my board.
So you're saying, the Bruce, do I draft 2 quarterbacks when I don't yet need 2 quarterbacks? Drafting 2 QBs. It depends on the context. Like I've done this before, the Bruce, where I've gotten laughed at. I took a couple years ago, or more than a couple years ago, it was when Drew Brees was a top 3 quarterback. I remember in round 7, he fell, and I drafted like, I don't know, it was like Aaron Rodgers, or I think it was bad. It might even have been when Peyton Manning was still doing well. Might have been that long ago. But I drafted my quarterback in like the 3rd round, like Peyton Manning or something like that. And then Drew Brees was sitting there, who should have been the next quarterback taken, but quarterbacks kept slipping. And so while this one guy thought everyone's got running back needs and wide receiver needs, he thought he was going to get Drew Brees. I drafted him in like the mid-6th or early 7th round. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe he didn't even have his wide receiver 3 yet. I did it because it was ridiculous value. And I saw more of an opportunity to trade Drew Brees going nuts back then. And I ended up, this guy, when my league was so pissed off, it was a buddy of mine. And he was like, nobody trade for his quarterback. Everybody stand firm. Lock arms. We're not giving Smitty a quarterback. What a stupid move. You're so stupid for doing that. Dumbest move ever. And I said, watch. One of you are going to break this lockstep chain you got here of not trading with me because you're going to need a quarterback. And they're not going to care. They're going to want to win the league. They're going to want Drew Brees. I traded Drew Brees for Gronk, who was in the 2nd round back then. And I got a 2nd round player by drafting Drew Brees in round 6 or 7. Point of the story is, you don't really know. Context is everything. It's not in general wise to be drafting backup quarterbacks when you don't have your starters filled. But if you're in a situation like in best ball, sometimes I've drafted Mahomes and Herbert back-to-back in a best ball when they both dropped to like the 4th and 5th round, because I feel like I can replace the 4th round wide receiver in round 5 and kind of kick the can down the road and keep replacing the talent that way and have that rotation of quarterbacks. I've done it. In best ball, it can work, because if you have Herbert or Mahomes going nuts and carrying your team in best ball, especially if you do these best ball tournaments where you need to win 4 games, you need to be the best team in the first 4 weeks, or you don't move on to the next round. Like, you can't just wait until week 17. Week 17, like, you get kicked out of some of these best ball tournaments by week 4. So having Mahomes and Herbert on a rotation where best ball optimal lineup is set, this is a 1 QB, mind you, it can lead you to victories for 4 weeks and then boom. So it just depends on strategy. Is it best ball? Is there any good talent left when you're taking your second quarterback? Are you like indifferent on the options left? It's not advisable, but if you're smart and you know what you're doing and you know your league mates, you can get away with some weird stuff like that, bro. This one's from Joseph.
Who are some of the receivers you're targeting after round 10 in the standard 12-team redraft league?
Wide receivers after round 10? 10 plus. Wow. Bro. Let me pull up some rankings. That's deep, bro. That's deep. Wide receivers in round 10. Let's look deep. I don't know what wide receiver number that would be, but let me just go like past 30 if that's okay with you. So once you get past 30 on rankings, you see like Devontae Smith, Gabe Davis. Love both those guys. Okay, I think that might not be round 10 yet, but I'm on round St. Brown. Very doubted. St. Brown, because of the presence of Jamison Williams, people are just forgetting about him. Let's see. Ayuk, those guys are all going to go before round 10, but I just wanted to touch on leading into round 10. These rookies like Garrett Wilson, Lazard's kind of being forgotten about because you have Christian Watson coming in there, but Lazard might be pretty consistent. He could have 1,100 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns. Really, that's possible. Kadarius Toney, I like and don't like him at the same time. He's very talented, but what a head case he is. Sky Moore, Christian Watson, these guys in redraft could fall there. They might not. Rondell Moore, I like a lot. But I think his situation got a little worse. It should be good in weeks 1 through 6, though, so we might have a good taste of what he could do. Joshua Palmer in LA, he could become relevant. David Bell, I like a lot in Cleveland. He's a good rookie to grab very, very late. Braxton Berrios is interesting, but it's a very crowded wide receiver room. I like Mechie a lot in Houston, but we'll kind of have to see how he is health-wise. I don't know, bro. Those are some of the names that come to mind. Tim Patrick, and let's see here. Tim Patrick. Tyler Boyd's kind of forgotten about. Russell Gage is pretty interesting in Tampa Bay. So that's probably how I would go with that. Steven.
Hey, Smitty. Just did my best ball mania draft here. Want to hear your thoughts on this team? 1.7 Najee, 2.6 Javonte, 3.7 Waddle, 4.6 Herbert, 5.7 Devontae Smith, 6.6 Eli Mitchell, 7.7 Elijah Moore, 8.6 Watson, 11.7 Hamler, 12.6 Irv Smith Jr., 13.7 Zach Wilson, 14.6 Ty Davis Price, 15.7 Kyron Williams, 16.6 John Mechie, 17.7 Danny Gray.
Got it. Okay. Let's look at this team. Najee, Javonte. We're just going to go in the beginning. Najee, Javonte, Waddle, Herbert, Devontae Smith, Eli Mitchell, Elijah Moore, Cordero, Knox, Watson. I like it. It's very similar to the best ball team that I drafted. So you got Najee and Javonte, potentially 2 top 4 running backs, honestly. You got Waddle, who could be a wide receiver 1, but more of a wide receiver 2 that's elite. Herbert, you could have the number 1 quarterback. Devontae Smith, I like a lot. Elijah Mitchell, I like. I don't know if you got Davis Price, if you mentioned that earlier. Davis Price with Mitchell is very, very crafty running back 2, let alone your flex. Elijah Moore might have something to say about being the number 2 in New York. I think he could be the number 1 wide receiver. Knox, love it. Great team, fantastic job. Nice work.
So Smitty, me and some buddies are starting our first Dynasty League. So we're going to start our draft here in about a month. So we're starting our fantasy, our Dynasty Draft League for the first time. And I have a chance to, I have the 7th pick. I have the chance to trade my 7th pick to get the number 1 overall pick. But I would also trade him my 4th round pick, and he would give me his 7th round pick in exchange. Do you think I should make that trade to be able to move up and start our Dynasty League and grab Jamar Chase or Jonathan Taylor or Justin Jefferson? Or should I just not even risk trading that 4th round pick and just stick with my 7th overall pick?
Okay, so I got it. So you're trying to trade your 7th overall up to the 1st overall pick? Or what was it, 1st overall, did he say?
Overall pick, but I would also chance to trade my 7th pick to get the number 1 overall pick.
Number 1, okay. I would say no, because I think Jefferson, Jamar Chase, or one of those players could fall to your 7 pick. And while I like the idea of JT, that 4th rounder, I don't think I'm giving that up to just move up. You know what I mean? Like, you could still get like Eckler. You could still get, I've seen Jamar Chase or Jefferson fall there before. It's tough to say. But I don't think it's worth giving up your 4th rounder overall. It's interesting. JT is definitely a player I love to own, but I think I'm okay if you land one of those other guys. Not to mention, in Dynasty, I still like Javonte at 7. Like redraft, we gotta let Javonte fall to the 2nd round. But in Dynasty, I still like Javonte as much as anyone. So why not take Javonte at 7? Let people laugh at you, whatever, and then just keep your 4th rounder. That'd be my advice. Let's get to the phone lines, shall we? Phone line time. Where is that?
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Call into the show. Dial 602 NFL. Dong.
Dial into thy show. 602 NFL. Dong. Let's go. The phone lines are active. So our topics of the day, I think in general, have been Kyler. I don't think Kyler gets an extension, but the Cardinals could look to maybe extend him if they figure they're going to be, spending a ton of money later. It could definitely change their thinking. But for right now, I don't think he gets extended. They picked up his 5th-year option for a reason. Etienne, I love Etienne in redraft and Dynasty. What was it, Stormcat? Stormcat, where are you at? I hope you didn't take offense to my rant against you on that. I appreciate you. I love you, Stormcat. I was just kind of making sure you knew and everybody knew how much I love Etienne. Etienne is a baller, and he's in a running back by committee in theory, because guess what? Doug Peterson runs a running back by committee no matter what. But there isn't a lot of competition, and the fact that he pulls in football so well, I could see a running back by committee being where he's on the field still catching footballs and running routes. I think Trevor Lawrence will trust him, lean on him, and ball out. So that Etienne topic. Then the second topic was the Kyler or the Trey Lance topic. There's so many Trey Lance haters out there. I love it. I like that there are Trey Lance haters out there. It's going to make it more sweet when Trey Lance just balls out and becomes a monster. I really think he will. No quarterback has walked into their 2nd season with the arsenal that Trey Lance is being handed since, like Mahomes. Some would say like Andrew Luck. There's some examples where you could argue, I suppose, but this is a kid that has a top 5 to 7 offense being handed to him, a top 7 defense probably, in my opinion. And this defense is interesting because they get coached up and they get better as the season moves along. If you remember, the Niners had a very questionable defense in the beginning of the year because they bring in a lot of unknowns and they turn these players into good players based on scheme. And so I think you're definitely going to see that happen with this Niner defense as well and the offensive line. What's up, pal? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Smitty, this is Mike Ortiz. How you doing, man?
Mike, what's up, pal?
Hey, man, I don't know if you were able to get to my comments, so I might have you might have already answered this, but I was wondering what your thoughts were on Charlie Kolar, that guy that was like the all-time, 3-time pro or whatever in college. I guess he's behind Mark Andrews. I was going to see, what his dynasty aspect is for you and, what you could tell me about him if you have any idea.
Okay, let me pull up some news on him. It's tough to be anything behind Mark Andrews, but injuries happen. He's had some health issues in the past. What is he diabetic? I forget what Andrews.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some issues there to where we thought maybe he couldn't play full season or full games. Yeah, this guy Iowa State, right? He's number 100.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, 128 overall, 6'7", 252. He's 23 years old.
Yeah, I think he was like a 3-time All-Pro in the Pac-12 or something. And
yeah,
he did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean he's got an upside. I think some of I'm looking at a comparison here to Tyler Higbee, which I think you're assuming he'll be better than that. But I mean, I don't know. I like him. I like him. I think in a deep dynasty league where you've got a spot to burn, why not? But I don't know that I'm expecting anything out of him. And I think Andrews, how old is Andrews? He's not like super young, but I don't know that he's like an old man yet. He is 26.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'd have to be like an injury. Like it's hard to envision a path for him. But I certainly wouldn't like detour you away from grabbing him. So
okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
To be honest, I don't have a whole lot on him. I haven't scouted him too much. I do recognize his name, and I believe, seen some film on him. Let me pull up. I'll pull up some film and watch it. I won't share that because I can't stream that, but I'll give you a little live reaction real quick. Let's pull up some film on him because I have seen him. I just,
all right, great.
He wasn't. Let's see here. All right, here's some footage of him I'm watching live. I mean, he's good. He seems like, I would say Tyler Higbee's a pretty good comparison when I watch him. But nothing jumps out. I think he had some good production, but nothing jumps out to where I'm like, this guy has that it factor. Like, I'm not saying he won't become something, but like nothing is. When I watch him, I don't see anything that like puts him above everyone else. I think,
Well, I guess like what I was reading on, he was a premier, pass, he was a good blocker for the quarterback. So I feel like maybe that's why he earned the trust, and then eventually just became better.
Yeah, Charlie.
But you're right. I feel like Mark Andrews needs to get injured first.
Yeah, the guy we're talking about, just so if people don't know, it's Charlie Kolar. Kolar, I believe that's how you spell it. So Charlie Kolar.
Yeah, I picked him up in a redraft league, but like it was a 32-team league, the last pick, 15 rounds.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna just throw a dart there. But I was just thinking, maybe something I want to pick up in Dynasty, but I wanted to get your reaction first.
Yeah. All right, pal. Appreciate you calling in.
All right, thank you so much, Smitty.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yep. All right, next caller. Dial in. Drop it. Yeah, that guy's got some upside, I suppose. But while we wait for the next caller, I want to thank the first people in the building. Spacula was first in the house. Gary, James, Pearson, what's up, Pearson? Dylan, Wesley, Philip, Jeremy, Hod, Nevin, Jaden. Appreciate Jeb, all of you guys being here. Notification gang in the house. We got 60 to 80 people in here pretty much the whole show. If you guys could punch the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new. It helps the channel a ton. Jose, appreciate that super chat, buddy boy. Jose, you still here? Appreciate that super chat, Jose. You're the man. Jose's the man.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Jose Smitty approved. Appreciate the super chat, buddy. And I don't know. You know what's funny, Jose? I might take this $9.99 and plug it right into Shake Shack. I'm going to take it, plug it right into Shake Shack, and destroy the Shake Shack rule. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. What can I do for you?
Hey, Smitty, I got a keeper league. It's 10 players starting and 10 teams. I got to choose between Joe Mixon, James Conner, Jamar Chase, and Jay Willie. Who should I keep?
Same again?
Joe Mixon, James Conner, Jamar Chase, and Javon Williams. Javonte Williams.
How many can you keep?
One.
You said Joe Mixon, Javonte,
James Conner, and Jamar.
Yeah. Jamar, you got to keep Jamar. I mean, think about it this way. Like, who are you drafting first in a draft?
Probably a running back.
But are you? You don't see Jamar Chase?
But not of those two that I got, yeah.
No, I'm just saying,
probably
of
Jamar
the guy,
out of my choices, you mean?
Yeah, like who's...
Okay, out of my choices, yeah, Jamar.
Okay, so my question would be, why would you treat it any different than a draft? And I'm not trying to come down here. I'm just trying to, let's wrap our head around the idea of keepers and why some people struggle with this topic. And I get it. You have a big decision. You want to make the right decision. I'm not coming down on you at all. I'm just trying to help you. Why treat it any different than a draft?
That's a good point.
Jamar Chase goes in the top 5 or 6 overall with ease. Javonte's a second rounder. Just because we like Javonte, well, it's in a dynasty or a keeper. It's a keeper. It's not a dynasty. He probably goes in the second round. It's a keeper. It's not a dynasty. He's probably going at 14, 15. Use that to your advantage. Try and draft Javonte back. Mixon, you're not keeping over. I mean, not to mention this player you keep is going to maintain keeper value the next year, right?
Right.
So you can't consider Connor. You can't consider anybody but Jamar Chase and Javonte.
Okay.
Was there another bigger name besides Mixon, Connor, and?
I mean, I've got Herbert, but I don't think it's worth using on a quarterback.
I love him, but you can get him. You can draft him back. But yeah, just think of it that way. If you're in a draft, what do you do? It's no different at all.
All right, I'm with you when you're right, Smitty. Thanks for the advice.
I appreciate you, pal.
Right on. Thanks.
Later.
Bye.
I do find that funny. I mean, I struggle with it. We all do. We're human beings. We struggle. But I find it funny how many people don't look at it like that. They're just like, who do I keep? And I'm just like, why? First of all, why are you bringing up Connor? You know what I'm saying? Not being hard on him, but why bring, it's because he had a lot of touch. You could draft him back. Herbert, you can definitely draft. So, although I love Herbert. Cooper Cup League, we probably have, call back, it disconnected real quick. We probably have 2 or 3 spots left in the Cooper Cup League, I imagine. So if you guys want in, DM me on Instagram or drop a $20 super. I think we have about 2 to 4 spots left. I got to really look at it. Terry likes Javonte over Jamar. It depends on the context. If it's dynasty, I'm not mad at that. If it's redraft or a one-player keeper, it's different. So there's different levels of where Javonte should fall and how far you should let him fall. If it's Take it for what you want. Here's another question here. I have JT and Singletary and a solid wide receiver. What was the first question? Is this it right here? Rodgers. Maybe this is the question. Trade Brees and 2024 second for Lance and Tyler Algier. And this is a 2 QB, I imagine. I imagine this is a super flex. Trade Brees and 20 second rounder in 2024 for Lance and Tyler Algier. I'd rather keep Brees Hall. And I love Trey Lance. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to? What can I help you with?
D2W Stu. Smitty, how you doing, Bob?
What's up, D2? What do you got for me?
I've got a trade offer that I'm pondering right now. I've got players I can drop. He's basically flooding me with a bunch of crap, but he wants Lamar Jackson. He's offering Drew Lock, Laviska Shenault, Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Malik Willis. What do you think?
Say it one more time.
He wants Lamar Jackson.
Lamar.
It's a dynasty. He wants Lamar, and he's offering Drew Lock, Laviska Shenault, Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Malik Willis.
I like Elijah Moore a lot, but I think, and you said it's a 1 QB or 2?
It's a super flex.
Okay, then no, Lamar. If it was a 1 QB, you're talking about like there's some potential arguments, but you're talking about super flex. Lamar Jackson's going in the top 12, top 15, probably top 12. Like it's dynasty, right? So like maybe Lamar is a little less valuable in dynasty than he is redraft into super flex, but probably still top 12. Like maybe even top 7. So you're not getting enough.
Yeah, I was really staring at Zach Wilson, Malik Willis, and Elijah Moore. I could care less about Drew Lock and Laviska, but
yeah,
they're just throwing pieces.
Those are garbage add-ins. But no, man, you can't. You got to get way more for again. Back to the other caller. Like when you're drafting, where's Lamar Jackson going in a dynasty startup superflex? Guys in the chat,
I feel you.
Throw a draft slot 1.5, 1.10, 2.1. Like everybody, throw a draft slot out in the chat of where Lamar Jackson goes in a dynasty startup. Because those other guys don't even – Zach Wilson's going to go higher in a two QB league than he would have won, obviously. But I don't even know Zach Wilson's going in the top 3 rounds. I mean, maybe he goes in round 3 or 4 or something. Somebody gets crazy, but it depends on how quickly quarterbacks get gobbled up. But I don't know. I don't think in a super flex I'm taking Zach Wilson in my top 3 rounds. So you're literally – I think you can go get the world for Lamar. And you're settling for the first person that comes along to just talk trade. Go attack, announce it to the league. Lamar's available. Have you done that yet?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here in the hospital on pain medication, so
yeah, well,
that's why I'm calling you
to
make sure I was right about declining it.
I appreciate you calling and spending your time with us while you're on meds. And this is where we want you to be, Stu. So appreciate you dialing in. But I would send out.
Anytime I see you, pop on.
I would send out an offer or a general comment to the entire league, and it's going to make this guy want to up his offer too and come stronger anyway, because he's going to be like, dang it. But yeah, no way. Keep Lamar.
Sounds good. Thanks for the
advice. All right, buddy.
Advice, awesome.
Yeah,
thank you everybody for your support. You have a great day.
Yeah, keep coming back into the chat and the calling in whenever you have a moment. Later,
I got doctors here. I got to let you go, boss.
D2 dialing in while he's in the middle of being seen by a doctor. That's how dedicated this man is to the show. Thoughts and prayers with D2. Going through some stuff, but dude's a tough dude. I know he'll be fine. Landon, what's up, pal? All right, one more caller, then we're shutting the line down. Drafted Dameon Pierce, Sky Moore, and Woods in Dynasty thoughts. Yeah, I mean, iSong, where you been? It's been a long time, iSong, since you showed up. I appreciate seeing you here. Like, where you been? This is always kind of like I don't know what to say with these kind of comments, though. Normally, it's like, hey, I drafted Sky Moore and Pierce in my Dynasty, like in my rookie draft. How'd I do? Like, they're good prospects. Like, I guess I'd have to know where you drafted them and all that, but I do like Pierce a little bit. He's got some appeal. Sky Moore's got appeal too. I like him. Rashad White I like a lot. What's up? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to, and what can I do for you?
Yes, this is Lorenzo, and I have like a Dynasty draft, the rookie draft this Saturday. I'm at 201. If David Bell, Isaiah Spiller, or James Cook is there, who should I actually draft? I actually am kind of deep in running backs and everything, but I kind of like their youth and what they've done.
So you're talking about James Cook, Bell, and who else? I don't know if you're still there. Oh, hold on. I think I muted you. Sorry. James Cook, Bell, and who else?
Yes, James Cook, David Bell, and Isaiah Spiller.
Spiller, yeah. I mean, it's not even close. Again, this is the same question I'm posing back to everybody else. A picture you're in a draft right now. Like, and you're watching. I know you're going to be in a draft, but you're watching. Where's James Cook getting drafted? It's like 6 overall, 5 overall, 7 overall. Like, people are getting real excited about James Cook. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. Like, I think he's a little overhyped because Singletary and Cook are kind of similar. I don't know that I feel like Cook is going to be the next Alvin Kamara, but a lot of people feel like he can be. And he's got a lot of...
I think as long as he actually puts on a little bit of weight and everything, he's only like 190 something.
But even somebody like me who doesn't think it's going to actually happen, I don't really believe he'll be the next Kamara. His trade value is way higher than these other guys. First of all, Spiller you can get a lot later, and I just don't like Spiller. He tested slow at the combine. He looked slow in college. I came out before the combine and said he's going to test like at the bottom of everything. He's not quick. And while I like him as a cuff, and he's a decent grab for an Eckler owner because he's in a Chargers uniform, he's nowhere near Cook in ADP, like in rookie only. Nowhere near. Like, this isn't even close, bro. Like, Isaiah Spiller is maybe a second or third rounder. Cook's top 5 or 6 or 7. And same thing with Bell. Bell's like that guy you're like, hey, Smitty, I'm going into the 2.1 area. Who's somebody I should look at? 2.1, 2.4, Bell. I like Bell a lot. But that's a second rounder. That's a second rounder, bro.
It's funny because he said I had 204. I actually got the 204 and the 201.
Yeah, but that's where you're looking at Bell in the mid-second round, I'd say. But if Cook is there at 2.1, you take Cook. If Rashad White is there before either one of them, you take Rashad White, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that, definitely, especially if like Leonard Fournette actually gets any type of injury, he definitely step into that role.
Let me tell you something, man. Rashad White is coming for Leonard Fournette's job. And he said it. He said, I'm there to start. I'm not there to be a backup. He's the best pass-catching running back in the entire 2022 NFL draft class by a mile. He is hungry, and Leonard Fournette has a tendency to disappoint over and over. He did it in Jacksonville. They gave him a second chance. He disappointed again. Then he got arrested, and then they ended up parting ways with him. He comes to Tampa. He kind of struggles and then does well, and then struggles and then does well. Like, he's kind of been up and down. And they brought in this Rashad White kid because it's pretty high draft capital because they are a little bit let down in terms of that running back room. catching the football, pass protection, and stuff like that. And while Rachaad White needs to learn pass protection, especially at the NFL level and for his team, because pass protection for specific teams is different across team to team. So it's not like you can just, I'm a good pass protector. Like, that's great. That's a good start. But you could come in and learn how to pass protect. This kid's smart. He's hungry. He says things like, I'm here to start. Like, he wants it. He's going to prove it. And Rachaad White, to me, is the gem of all running backs not named Walker and Breece Hall.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I think that he'll definitely actually like step into actually even more than a Giovanni Bernard type of role and everything as well. To say, because he's like definitely a good receiving back as well.
Yeah. All right, man. Anything else?
No, that'd be it, man. I appreciate you answering everything and answering my question.
All right, appreciate you, man.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
All right, appreciate him. Appreciate all of you guys that have dialed in. Phone lines are off. Nobody squeezed in as I was turning it off there. Sometimes people do. I love Javonte, but Chase easily in keeper or dynasty. That's what Robert said earlier, and I agree with that. Like, we got to take advantage of Jamar Chase's value and that he's going a little later, especially in a one-player keeper that's almost redraft. It has a little bit of a dynasty feel or keeper value to it. But so yeah, appreciate everybody being here. iSong with the super chat coming in hot at the end. And Jose, you still here, Jose? Jose dropped a super chat earlier. I really appreciate Jose dropping this super chat earlier. I'm spending that on Shake Shack, Jose. Right on Shake Shack. This right here from iSong. College. Drafted at 1.1. Do I trade Stephon Diggs in Dynasty to go young? Other wide receivers are Waddle, Gabe Davis, Lazard. Need running backs, have Hunt, Freeman, and Ingram, Pierce, and Vaughn. Yeah, it sounds like you probably do need to go a little into rebuild mode. Drafted at the 1.1. Do I trade Stephon Diggs in Dynasty? Who could he get for Stephon Diggs? Kenneth Walker? Bro, Kenneth Walker is so undervalued. I would make it my purpose to go get Kenneth Walker using Diggs, man. And you might be able to get more. I don't know about in Dynasty how people value Diggs in Dynasty. It's tough to say, but I would definitely go looking at Kenneth Walker, who's so undervalued. You could also go after you've already got Waddle. I was gonna say Waddle. Like, what if the DK owner, I'm just throwing it out there, had Rachaad White as well? Like, DK and Rachaad White for Diggs is something I would look at doing. Trade Diggs in the 1.11 for Lamb, says Robert. Interesting, but I don't know. Yeah, I'd rather go after that. Well, Lamb's okay, but then he has no running backs, man. Yeah, I'd go after Walker. Go after Walker and some. Try and get Walker and some. That would be pretty good. Appreciate everybody being here. Is Jose still here? I've been asking that. I haven't seen him. Jose. Appreciate your super. Appreciate yours, iSong. Thank everybody. I thank everybody for being here. This show wouldn't be here without you. This show is because of you all. You are the show. And I'm here every single Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I answer every question in the chat. So drop a question, not in the live chat. Drop a question, a comment on this video once we hit end here, and I will respond. Test me, try me. And I'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern because we're here Monday through Friday. If I miss any questions right here now, like Terry, I see you asking a question. Ask it in the comments. I will answer it. Bruce says Hall or Walker. I don't know if you're asking a question, if you're advising him. So Terry, drop that in the comments and I'll answer it. I'll see you all tomorrow. And if there's any breaking news, I go live. Think, hey, this is breaking news. Smitty's live. I'm going to his YouTube. Terry asked that in the comments, and I'll get to it. In general, I'm going to say if Hall and Walker are gone, I so badly want Rachaad White, but you probably can't take him at 1.3. So it's going to probably come down to like Garrett Wilson or London or someone like that. But ask it, and I'll give it more thought.